best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And here we go again. This is the Frontier Motor Show. My name is Ivan Struckel, and we have a double format once again, which means that we are live on the radio, 1370 Talk Radio. We are live. And if you're watching this on TV, you're probably watching this on Blab or one of the channels, either satellite or cable. And we've been doing this show for going on almost 20 years. And what we do at the Frontier Motor Show, we talk cars. And we talk about what's going on in the car industry, what's going on in new cars, what's going on in used cars, a little bit of what goes on at Frontier Motors. But this is not all about Frontier Motors. This is to help the people in the Pensacola area make sure that when they are ready for a new vehicle, that they have someone to go to for some free advice as far as what they should pay for a particular car, perhaps what your car might be worth on trade, perhaps what the Carfax report says on the car you're looking at, or maybe the Auto Check, which is the other provider of history reports in the nation, perhaps talking maybe what Consumers Report says. We have the Consumers Reports at the dealership. I pretty much read them cover to cover, and we always get the updates also that talks about what's new, what's improved, some of the safety features, the safety ratings of the cars, gas mileage reports, tow ratings, what vehicle is towable behind a motorhome, flat dinghy towing. All these types of things are things that we answer all day long at Frontier Motors. And we've been doing this going on this November. It's going to be 20 years that we've been in business. We started in Pensacola off of W Street. We're on 230 Beverly Parkway outside of Car City. Back in 1994. Actually, 96 is when we started. Moved here in 94. So this is going to be a show where we want to get the word out that we're here to help. We had the new car cost guides, and Consumers Report says in the back of every Consumers Reports I get, you can buy an invoice. I've got it right here. You can buy an invoice from Consumers Reports on a brand new car, and they charge you about $15 for an invoice. I happen to have the invoice for every new car out there. Now, why would this help you? Well, if you know what a dealer paid for the car, it eliminates a lot of back and forth negotiating. And one of the things that I've wanted to bring to Pensacola a long time ago is a little bit of honesty in the car business. There doesn't have to be that back and forth banter that you normally get. And some of the stupid questions that some car dealerships ask you, I'm hoping are eliminated. Things like, what do you want for your trade? And what do you want your payments to be? What do you want to pay? Those are all things that we answer at Frontier Motors when you pick out a car. And like I said, we started 20 years ago with 30 cars in inventory, and now we're up to close to 400 cars. The last time I looked 3 days ago, we had 385 cars in inventory, and we have another 2 truckloads coming in. So we should be a little bit over 400 cars in inventory. But believe it or not, that's not enough. We get the word out on this TV/radio show that we do want to buy your car. There's a billboard on the way up here. I'm not going to mention the dealer's name, but it's a big billboard, and I noticed it right when I pull into the radio station. It says, we will buy your car whether you buy a car from us or not. And we're the only one in Pensacola that does that, and that's false advertising because it's not true, because we do it at Frontier Motors. And we've been doing it for years and years, and we've been not only giving you buy bids on your car, we've been also letting you know what your car should be worth in trade if you're going to buy something. Normally, you should get a little bit more money if you're taking a car off the shelf than if you're just adding to the shelf. And what I mean is that your trade-in value is going to be a little bit more than it would be if it was a buy figure. The other thing we can do for you also, let's say just hypothetically, I book out your car and it comes out to the buy fee or figure is $20,000. I'll normally give you $1,000 to $1,500 more if we do a consignment. Now, the reason I'll give you more on consignment is because I don't have to tie up my cash. The consignment works where you get paid when I sell the vehicle. Our average turnaround time is about 30 days, but if I can get you an extra $1,500, it might be worth it for you to do the consignment rather than just selling to me. Now, some people will do the opposite. It's almost 50-50. Some people say, no, I just want to take the money, give me a check for $20,000. I can cancel my insurance. I can get turn my tag back in, or I can take that money and go invest it somewhere. So I don't want to have the hassle of putting it on Craigslist or putting it on one of the websites and having people come over to the house wanting to test drive my car, wanting to negotiate, wanting me to finance it or take a car and trade. And that's all the reasons right there why you might consider Frontier Motors to sell your car to us. And especially if you're buying a new car, sometimes it gets a little testy when you're not really sure if you're getting a good deal or not. And we can help you with both. We can help you by telling you what to pay for the new car, and we can help you with what you should get for the trade-in. So that's one of the things that we can do. Talk about Carfaxes real quick. A Carfax costs almost $45. We run Carfax reports for anybody at Frontier Motors. I don't care if you're another dealer. If you're a private individual, it doesn't matter. If you find a car that you're interested in, don't go online and pay $45 for Carfax when you can get Frontier Motors to do it for free. And the neat thing about my program that I have, and I have this on my iPad, I have it on my computer, I also have it on my smartphone, is that when I plug the ID number in, it spits back the Carfax, the auto check, and the price. So I can kind of guide you, not only to tell you that maybe it's a one-owner car with no accidents, clean history report, but also what to pay. And then while I have you on the phone, I can appraise your trade-in on the phone for you by telling you, here's what I think you should get for your trade. And if they won't give you that, sell it right to Frontier Motors. I've had this happen with local dealers where I've given people advice on what they should get. They go to the local dealer. The dealer is $2,000 less than my figure. So you can still trade it at that dealership. Just have the used car manager call Frontier Motors. And we'll verify the appraisal and we'll buy it right from them. That way you can trade it in. And some people don't know this, but there's a tax credit when you have a trade-in. And the way it works, and I'm going to give you a quick example. If you're driving a $20,000 car and you trade it in at Frontier Motors for a $20,000 truck, you pay zero taxes because the government gives you a credit for whatever you're trading. So if you have 20 and I give you 20, the balance is zero, so there's no tax. If you were to sell your car yourself, even if you got $1,500 more for it than a dealer's willing to give you, but now if you stop in and buy a $20,000 vehicle and your tax is about $1,500, it's kind of a waste, isn't it? At Frontier, you can get the best of both worlds. I can give you the higher appraisal and I can give you the tax credit. So it makes it, everybody's happy. You're going to save money. You pay less taxes. We get your trade-in and we sell a car. Let's talk about depreciation for a little bit. And I try to bring this up every time I do this show because this is very important as far as I'm concerned. Consumers Reports in last year's April edition on page 21 finally put into writing what we've been talking about at Frontier Motors for years and years and years. Why not buy a car that's 1 year old? And I always tell people that I can save you a bunch of money on a 1 year old car. But Consumers Reports finally did the survey. Hundreds of thousands of cars, of owners of cars. And they said that in the first year of ownership, the average depreciation is 27%. Last year, the average new car was $34,000, and the average 1 year depreciation, you bought it last year up in Car City, and you bring it to a dealer this year, you lose $9,200 in 1 year. Now, if you're in the market for a car, why not buy that 1 year old car? As long as there's no issues with it. Get a car that's got, let's say it's got 10,000 miles on it. It still has the remainder of the factory warranty. The worst warranty out there is 3 years, 36,000. That's Honda and Toyota and John Motors on some of their cars. Hyundai's got a 5-year warranty. Nissan's got a 3-year warranty. Honda and Toyota, 3 years. Lexus and the Highline's mostly 4 years. Hyundai, Kia, and Mitsubishi have a 5-year. But let's say you buy a 1 year old car from Frontier Motors, you're still going to have at least 2 more years of warranty left, up to 36,000 miles. Some manufacturers up to 50,000 miles. If it's a non-smoker, clean history report, no accidents, no paint work, the car is literally like new. Even if I mark the car up $3,000, you'd still save $6,200. Now, don't forget, when you're saving $6,200, your taxes are also less by about another $400. Our fees are less at Frontier Motors, and we normally pay for more for a trade-in. So when you put that all together, I might be able to save you $8,000 on a one-year-old car. And I normally don't like to say that we specialize in anything. You know, if you go to Leo's Corvettes, guess what he specializes in? Corvettes. If you go to Sandy Sansing Mini Cooper, guess what they specialize in? It's Mini Coopers. You go to Frontier Motors, guess what we specialize in? Really nothing. Because we have 400 cars, we have everything. But the majority of the cars that we have, I'd say about 200 of those cars are going to be less than 24 months old. A lot of them less than 12 months old, and a lot of them even less than 6 months old. An example would be the 2016 Toyota Highlander that we have on the lot with 32 miles on it. A 2015 Dodge Grand Caravan with 151 miles. Now, because we have so many cars that are like new that we can save you thousands of dollars on, we also take a lot of nice trade-ins that have a lot of life left in them that are under $10,000. So don't think that all of our cars are like brand new. We don't buy the old cars at auctions. The reason we don't is not because there's anything wrong with the auctions, but once they're at a certain age, once they hit a certain amount of miles, the auction sells them on what they call a red light. A red light means you're buying them as is. I wouldn't feel comfortable buying a car as is. I want some type of a warranty. Or guarantee, I guess is what you can call it. When you buy a 2007 or newer car from Frontier Motors, if it has less than 100,000 miles on it, you get a 5-year, 100,000-mile guarantee on the engine and drivetrain. Even if the car is older than 7 years, as long as it has less than 150,000 miles on it, you still get a 3-month warranty on the engine transmission. If you go to a used car dealership, or a new car dealership for that matter, that has used cars, and they mark the box as is, and they don't feel confident enough in their product to give you at least a 3-month, or at least a 1 month, something, I wouldn't do business with them. And it's the same thing for a dealership that won't tell you the price, or won't give it to you in writing, which we do at Frontier Motors, or won't give you a total. A lot of people know they got to pay taxes, but they don't know what all the other fees are. The only way that you can do a good comparison from dealer to dealer is to ask that dealer for a total out-the-door figure. That includes the taxes, the dock fee, the battery tax, the tire tax, the electronic title fee, the license plate fee, whatever you owe on your car, all that has to be added up. And then you have one figure. And then if you go to another dealership and they have one figure, isn't make it a lot easier to make up your mind? We don't do that at Frontier Motors. We want you to buy a car when you want, not when we want. Of course we'd like you to buy a car, but we want you to feel confident that when you're buying, it's because you want to, not because we talked you into it, so to speak. So one thing we talked about is the depreciation, which is in Consumer Reports April edition. We also have not talked about the Volkswagen problem. If anybody's heard Volkswagens and some deep caca, they have lied about their diesel situation, talked about selling diesels here for years and years as a clean diesel while they cheated on their emissions. And because of that, I've got an article in Industry News that says that sales of new diesel-powered passenger cars have nearly disappeared in the United States on the heels of the Volkswagen diesel emissions cheating scandal. In January, automakers overall reported selling fewer than 225 diesels compared with 9,500 the year before. That's a crime, isn't it? I feel sorry for the manufacturers that are getting on the diesel bandwagon because everybody, Audi, BMW, even Chevrolet and Ford are talking about putting some diesels together and bringing them to the United States. They're going to be engineered overseas. And now they're second guessing that. They're kind of scared. What do you think about a diesel? It was really interesting that diesels were selling good, even though the diesel fuel was quite a bit more expensive than regular fuel. regular gasoline. That's not true anymore. I saw some gas stations where the diesel's actually less. Now you actually have a reason to buy a diesel. Other than the fact you got to pay more to get the motor. Diesel motors are more expensive. Here's another thing that I didn't know. In June's edition, which is now, 2016, on page 58 of Consumers Reports, they have one paragraph that's very interesting if you're in the market for a used car. It says the median price paid for a recent model used car, one built since 2011, is $18,000 when you buy it from a used car independent dealer, or $21,000 when you buy it from a franchised new car dealer's used car inventory. So what they're saying, this is not Frontier Motors saying this. This is, you can double check this. This is on page 58 of June's edition of Consumers Reports. Looks like this magazine right here. Cover says stop paying now. It's not a car. It's not a car edition. But on page 58, they have the road report. And they say that you save $3,000 when you buy from an independent. And that they feel that if you're going to buy a used car, don't go to a franchise dealer, go to an independent dealer or a private individual. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with that. I'm not here in Pensacola. I don't think I'm saving people $3,000 when they buy from me over a franchise dealer. I know I'm saving them money. For years and years, I said it's going to be somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 if it's car for car. And the one reason is because I'm very particular with what I buy. I make sure I buy them at low enough of a price where I can make a profit but still beat the competition. I've got to weed through hundreds and hundreds of cars to be able to do that. A lot of cars that I bid on I don't get, and I'm not talking about private individual cars because I'll pay extra if you've got a car that you want to sell because you bring it to me, but I'm talking about an auction car. And we do buy cars at auction. I mentioned before we don't buy old cars at auction, but anything that's 5 years or newer I can buy at auction because they guarantee the car. They give me a warranty with it basically. Sometimes it's only 7 days. But if there's something wrong with the car, especially if an air conditioner doesn't work or a transmission's gone or something like that, they guarantee them. So I have no problem buying a car at an auction if it's a newer type car. And of course, a lot of them that I buy are very low mileage cars, still under factory warranty, and we check them very good for the history reports, paint work, no accidents. We have a buyer at every auction, by the way, because when you buy them online, like a lot of local dealers do, a lot of the big franchise dealerships, they never go to an auction anymore. They got cameras at the auction. They just click. 21,000, 21,120. They just click till they get it. But you know what? They never get to smell the car. What if the car comes back and smells like smoke? You lose a deal. Even to a customer that smokes, they don't want a smoker's car. I always found that interesting. But it's true. Consumers Report says that the number one brand for reliability, now they do a lot of surveys. They have customer satisfaction surveys. They have dealership service department surveys. They have road test surveys. But one of the ones that I really like is reliability. And the reason I think that's really important is because I love to deliver a car and not have any complaints. So the better the reliability of the car that I'm selling, the better my customer satisfaction. And fortunately, we do a good Lexus business because Lexus is number one. And of course, that goes to show Lexus's Toyota's Highline division, guess what's number two? Toyota. So if you go to Bob Tyler and you run into that salesman, they're going to try to sell you a Toyota and they're going to use reliability as their sales pitch. Guess what? The guy's not even lying to you. Other than Lexus, they have the most reliable car according to Consumers Reports. Number three, I didn't know this because I'm not that much of a fan of the old ones, but the new Audis are number three for reliability, right under Toyota, almost tied with Toyota. And number four, you would have never guessed. I wouldn't have guessed unless I opened this up. Give Mazda a try. Mazda beats out almost all of them other than Audi, Toyota, and Lexus for reliability. And they're less expensive than the Toyota and the Honda. Subaru's number 5. Kia, who'da thunk? Kia's number 6. Best warranty in the business. And one of the most reliable cars on the market is a Kia. I love selling Kias because I never have any issues with them. And they come with a 5-year, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty. So I can sell a 2-year-old Kia, and you get just as good of a warranty as you would if you bought a brand new Toyota, because a Toyota is only 3 years total. I always wonder why Toyota and Honda and Nissan, which claim they have the best cars on the face of the earth, only give a 3-year warranty. You have Hyundai and Kia and Mitsubishi, which aren't rated that good, supposedly, at least years ago they weren't, and they give you a 5-year warranty. I always thought, I would figure just for advertising purposes that Honda and Toyota and Nissan would step up. If they have such a good product, why don't they give a 5-year warranty? It shouldn't cost them nothing. They never break down, according to the salesman. Buick is the only one domestic that made it to the top 7, and that's the most reliable with 7, and Buick is in there. I'm glad to hear that at least one of our domestics made it. Then you got the reliable category, which is Honda, Hyundai, Mini, BMW, Volvo, Volkswagen, Porsche, Nissan. That's reliable. And then you have the stragglers. Now, the reason I don't get into stragglers is because we sell them all. We even sell cars. And I'll give you a prime example of sometimes where I disagree with Consumers Reports. Years ago, the Grand Cherokee was rotten, according to Consumers Reports. Don't buy one. I did a really good Grand Cherokee business, and I very rarely ever have a problem. And then you have a different manufacturer like Nissan, for example, that has good reliability, but every once in a while you get a product like an 06 Pathfinder, for example, that has transmission problems, an 05 Honda that has transmission and engine problems. So you think across the board when they rate Nissan in the reliable category that they're all reliable? Well, they're not. So you've got to do some research. And the car dealership, don't forget what the car dealer does is they take the vehicle and trade one day, they get as much information as possible, and they sell it to the next individual next day. What if the car dealer was lied to? What if we do a report we pretty much write everything down when a customer trades a car in. It's called a trade report. So how long have you had? If you had any problems, would you sell it to a friend or a neighbor? Would you take a 2,000-mile trip in the car tomorrow morning? Everything's yes, 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 yes. I love it, love it, love it, love it. What if they lied? What is a lemon? So you always want to get the car checked out. You always want to do your research. Take it to a qualified mechanic. Don't trust the dealer. The dealer doesn't necessarily have to lie to you. I'm not saying they're lying, but they don't know. Same with us at Frontier Motors. If I buy a car at the auction, I can't talk to the first individual, the previous owner. So what I do is I do my research when I do the history report, and I find out where's the car from, how many times was it in service, does it show the oil changes, is the car really clean, does it have nicks and scratches? These are all things that I look at when I buy a car that a lot of dealers don't care about, because a lot of dealerships will buy a car that's below average on purpose because they can buy it cheaper. I would rather pay a little bit more and get a really, really nice car and still give a customer a good deal on one than sell a car that's below average and sell it cheaper. People will normally pay more money for a nicer car, especially one that has lower miles, maybe more equipment, maybe that's a better color, maybe that looks good. When we talk about colors and we talk about condition, I always have to throw the bankers under the bus a little bit. And I know there's bankers listening. Some of my friends are bankers. They kind of get a chuckle out of it. But a banker cannot appraise a car. They're not in the car business. A banker can give you a book. See the book that I'm holding up right now? This is an NADA value book. This is what the bankers use. So they have a tendency to open up the book and say, okay, let's see here if I can see this with this print is so small. Okay, you can pick out a 2012 Suburban, and it's got a retail value of $25,500 if it's an LT and then some ads. Now, if that banker is not qualified to tell you that's what you should pay, the banker should be telling you that's what the book is on this car and that's how much I'll borrow. If you've got good credit, I will borrow you up to retail. But if you want to know what a car is supposed to sell for, you call Frontier Motors and we'll give you a straight scoop. And the way we do that is we find out what we can buy a car for, and we add a small profit to it. And that dollar amount might be $4,000 less than retail. It might be $1,000 more than retail, depending on what you buy. And a prime example is an older Honda Civic might have a $3,000 retail book, but they're selling for $4,500. So if the banker says don't pay more than that, and I've had this happen before where we have a car that's a one-owner Honda Civic on the lot, it's got 125,000 miles on it, it's got the timing belt change, it's absolutely perfect, and everything works. The book value is $3,000. Well, heck, I paid more than that, or else I wouldn't have got it, because they're selling for more than that. So check with us before you buy. Don't pay too much, and don't shoot yourself in the foot by not paying enough. I've got a friend of mine right now that's looking for an import Honda or Toyota. They've got a $5,000 budget, but they want to have a car under 100,000 miles on. And I said, it's not going to happen unless the car is something wrong with the car. It's not going to happen. They hold their value too good. But this is one of the things I'm talking about, folks. If you're just tuning in, this is the Frontier Motor Show. We've been in business going on 20 years in the Pensacola area. We are the dealer to go to for free advice. If you're in the car market, there's a lot of things that we do that aren't even purchase related. For example, let's say you get into a major accident. Somebody runs a stoplight. They ram into your car. Now you've got major damage, but it's not totaled. You might get some extra money from the insurance company for diminished value. We are one of the few dealers. I'm not saying we're the only one, but we're one of the few dealerships that will give you a letter of diminished value in writing. So you can take that letter to the insurance company and say, this is what a professional is telling me my car is worth now, because even though it's going to be fixed properly, it's not going to be worth as much because it's been in a major accident. What if they total your car? Don't settle until you come to Frontier Motors, and we will give you a total price in writing of what you should get, what it really costs to replace that car. And don't forget, they got to give you the tax money and the license plate money and the new title money. Some people forget that. If the car's worth $10,000, don't take $10,000 and run. You can't buy that car from Frontier Motors for $10,000 and drive out, because you got to pay taxes and you got to pay for a new license plate and title. And the insurance company will pay for that. So make sure you know that. We are the people to go to. So anybody out there that has anybody that's going to be in the car market, you tell them to pop in at Frontier Motors, almost 400 cars in inventory. They don't necessarily have to buy from us. They have to come in. We're going to give them some advice. We're going to tell them what to pay. We're going to tell them which is a good car, which is a bad car. We're going to tell them what car to stay away from. We're going to run free Carfax report for you. We're going to give you a value on your car. We're going to do everything we can to give you enough information to make sure you get a good deal, whether it be at the new car dealership, another dealership, a private individual, or maybe even at Frontier Motors. And we know that if we help you get a deal somewhere, the next time you're in the market, you're going to remember us, not the dealer you bought it from. That's Frontier Motors. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube, FrontierMotorsInc.com. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Down the street, got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.